Alright, this is John Cole with GrowingYourGreens.com to another exciting episode for you, and we got Josh from the Boogie Brew Company back in the episode today for a very important episode, actually. This is the top 3 reasons why compost tea doesn't work. And I know you guys are thinking, but John, you love compost tea, why are you saying it can't work? Because you could screw anything up in life, right? You could can you screw up sex? Is that, I don't know, but anyways, you could screw up anything in life, and Josh is gonna quickly share with you guys 3 ways how you could screw compost tea up.
3 ways to screw compost tea up. Number 1, you could use a really weak-ass pump that barely liberates the beneficial microbes that are in even a weak-ass compost. I mean, it'd be pretty hard. You'd have to almost want to screw up compost tea for it not to work, John. So number 1, using inadequate equipment, like using a tiny-ass air pump. We mandate 1 liter of air minimum for every liter of tea. Number 2, you could use, like I said, a really poor compost, an almost sterile worm casting, almost inert level ingredients, some, just cheap-ass products. And number 3, you could brew it too warm, too long. Yep. You could let it go sour. I mean, go to Boogie Brew's website and look at all the do's and don'ts of Boogie Brew, because it gets pretty involved. But it's pretty easy to make the tea. Infuse it and use it before you lose it. 24-hour brew. Use good chlorine-free water. Use decent compost. Doesn't have to be world-class products like the stuff we like to use, but get in there with a good basic biological mix, activate it with air, chlorine-free water, you're done.
I mean, yeah, you could screw up anything in life, like I said, and even compost tea you could screw up. There's some people that don't like compost tea out there, and they're promoting the message that compost tea isn't worth the weight in gold, and you should even waste your time on it, which I think is totally bogus. There's this dichotomy in life where in our society we're taught to think right, wrong, good, bad, but what if compost tea, yes, it could be done poorly, it could be done bad, and some people may not need compost tea, but there's plenty of people, in my opinion, that compost tea will totally improve their garden. So what we're going to do next is actually ask Josh some very important questions about compost tea, since he sells some of the best compost tea that I've found. And, I would encourage you guys, if you guys want to do compost tea, number 1, buy his stuff. If you don't want to buy his stuff, that's all right. Go to a video I did with Josh on his open source compost tea recipe, where he's releasing his secrets to the world and telling you guys exactly the ingredients to put in so you guys can get good results, instead of just using some compost you made and saying it's the shit, and then your stuff doesn't work, and then you're spreading this out, this misinformation, in my opinion, to many people, and on something that could be quite beneficial. All right, so Josh, let's get into questions.
All right, put me on the spot, John.
Does compost tea get people excited about gardening?
Oh, I mean, of course it does. It's dramatic how well it works. Most people call us because they've heard from one of their grow bros just how well the tea worked for them, and it's a fun thing to do, Like I said, infuse it and use it. It's wonderful to see that infusion come to life. It's very low labor. You can go in there. It's sexy, that foam, and, just go in there, be creative. It encourages creativity, and anything, we have learned more from our own tribe of boogie brewers out there in 5 years of selling the tea than I ever did in 10 years of being an organic weed grower in the Caliwana Republic, thinking I knew it all, and that's going to continue to occur. So get creative, and we're appreciative that people love our recipe so much. But yes, I can't keep up with business. Be careful what I wish for.
That's good. Yeah, so I mean, anything, if it gets you excited about gardening, I'm going to just be all for it. Even if for some reason it doesn't work in your garden. If something gets you excited about gardening, gets you to grow your own food, whether that's compost tea, some heirloom seeds, whatever it is, I want you guys to do it, because I'm just that kind of person. So Josh, there's some videos online, and maybe one isolated incident. One guy does compost tea in his garden. He takes it down to the lab, gets it tested, and, it gets poor results. So the question is, do you think one isolated test of compost tea in a video that's on YouTube should be the judge, jury, and executioner as to if compost tea works and or if it's good or bad?
Well, of course not. I mean, long before when I was too lazy to brew my own tea, I'd still heard about tea, and I would buy it at the grocery store, and even a poorly brewed batch that was, all the things had been done wrong, it still made my plants dance. It made them rage. So I knew years ago compost tea works, and look at all the videos that are out there which say it does work. I mean, if you're going to judge a product, whether it's your own recipe or even a company like ours, and if you're going to judge it based on one isolated video, well, I mean, come on. I think it's a good thing that there's naysayers out there, because it means there's more attention being given to natural, enzymatically based forms of farming. You know, biological methods work, and the powers that be, are you hearing me, oil industry, they're afraid of that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe some people that are promoting anti-compost tea videos are really working them for the chemical companies, or who knows, I don't know.
Oh, the place is filled with shieldom.
But anyways,
YouTube is filled with
But
shieldom.
here's the thing, like, if you guys want to believe one video that's not even scientific, that's not even journal published, that's not even some kind of accredited person making it, that's you guys' right. I don't care. You guys could be, you know, scammed. There's a lot of people scamming you out there. But anyways, I want you guys to look in the journals. You know, this is a scientific journal published study, you know, effects of aerated compost tea on the growth promotion of lettuce, soybean, and corn in organic cultivation, published in the Plant Pathology Journal, you know, 259-268, 2015. And I mean, there's references in here on other, you know, journal publications that they've done compost tea on for pathology and all kind of stuff. And even in here, I mean, you guys could look it up. I'm not going to show you guys this, but here's a picture. The picture shows that there's way larger roots when they use more compost tea, and they also got higher yields. Journal published study. I want you guys to believe this stuff.
But why does everything have to be in a journal, John?
Well,
I mean,
that's exactly
success leaves
exactly
clues.
it, Josh.
Follow the clues.
Here's the thing. Like, unfortunately, there's not a lot of published studies on compost tea, and why is that, Josh? Or why do you believe that is?
Well, because again, the powers that be, the people that control these ag universities, I mean, look who's actually funding them, at least in this country. It's the mighty M, Monsanto. More dollars go. I mean, I've seen comments on your own videos, John, where people have said, unfortunately, I went to ag school. The first 6 months, we learned how to do things organically. The next 5 semesters, we were taught by the same professor, well, that's not the way to do it. Here's how you do it, with all these numbers, all these soluble fertilizers, and so on. So, I mean, we could talk all day about that. We don't have time. We're talking about whether tea works or not. I mean, come on, it's a ridiculous question. It's a no-brainer. Of course it works. If it didn't work, why would I sell so much of it?
Yeah, and the other thing I would say to you guys is, I mean, don't believe me on YouTube. Don't believe anybody on YouTube. You know, they could be full of BS. I want you guys to try the stuff so you guys can see for yourself if it works in your garden or not. It may or it may not. I have a strong intuition on a large probability and a high percentage of people, it's gonna work for you like it's worked for so many of my viewers.
John, nothing stronger than, the only thing stronger than the BB, the Boogie Brew, is the BC, the Boogie Challenge. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Josh. So, does compost tea actually add bacteria to your soil, Josh?
Well, of course. I mean, when you're brewing it, you're creating trillions of microbes, and it's unfathomable the amount of biology you can create in a 5-gallon bucket and then dilute and spread across very wide areas of real estate. Well, here's how it adds nutrients. The way it adds nutrients is by increasing the quality of your soil. For instance, our product is not sold or registered in any form as a fertilizer. We make no fertilizing claims, and yet it works quicker in most situations than hydroponics, with synthetic fertilizers being directly driven to the roots. And why is that? Because our product is a microbial product, it's an enzymatic digest, and it's a food for soil, and it makes the soil so active. So what your soil gets is much increased metabolic efficiency, absorption of nutrients, that it breaks down itself, which it's always done. Remember, before the ag revolution, what they call the original green revolution, you know, carbon farming methods as recently as the 40s or the 30s, it was always done that way. Nature did it for us that way. And tea just is like compost, but on steroids. It just greatly increases that whole web of life rhythm, that metabolic cycle, and it's your soil. Feed your soil. We're not what we eat, we're what we absorb in our guts. It's the same with your soil, you know. So
yeah, we need beneficial bacteria in our guts, and so do our soil to digest the food that we feed it, which is the compost and the organic matter and the minerals that are in the soil. So Josh, do you think using compost in your garden is enough and is the same as using compost tea, or will somebody see benefits from using the compost tea?
Absolutely, they'll see benefits from using the tea. And is compost enough? Of course it's enough. Before, people were using these pumps and air, you know, these fish tank aquarium style actively AACT, actively aerated compost teas. Of course, up in Findhorn, Scotland, you know, they were using great compost, burying sheep's horns in the ground and making it biodynamic and so on. But like I said, the only thing stronger than the BB is the BC. So do your compost. Do it as cost effectively as possible. Compost is like the horsepower itself, the torque in the motor. Compost tea is a high octane fuel that's going to absolutely increase the efficiency of whatever compost enriched soil you're using.
Awesome, Josh. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I want to mention, you guys, as much as compost is important, you may think you guys have the shit compost, but send your compost in, get it tested for bacterial activity, food soil web testing, and maybe you'll see that it's maybe not so good. It's like people think their shits don't stink or their farts don't smell, right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, even the world's most esteemed, knowledgeable, true soil scientists, no less than 1% of what's going on in the soil beneath them. When I formulated my product, I did it with the same way, no science behind it, of a spirulina power smoothie when I was a bike racer back in the 80s and 90s, that intuition of, these things are going to work. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can sense it, and if you communicate daily with your plants and your garden, you know what's going to feed it, you know what is going to make those plants dance. There's no fooling nature.
Yeah, for sure. So, Josh, would you say that synthetic fertilizers are more nutritious to the soil than compost tea?
Well, they may immediately, under a microscope, appear more nutritious, especially when it's a salt-based, these things are made from oil and gas. So what are you putting in there? I mean, in the long run, you're just going to strip it and turn it into a heroin addict. That's what these things do. And then your plants require more and more and more, and you end up stripping all the life. You end up killing your soil. I mean, most of America's topsoil has been ruined directly by these chemical methods of farming. But under a microscope, sure, I would have to admit that, okay, how are you judging nutrition? Are you judging it by the life condition, by the health of your soil, or by the number of, NPK values and soluble salts and parts per million? So that's a tricky question, but the honest answer is throwing chemical fertilizers into your soil in the long term is only going to cause irreparable harm. Feeding tea to your soil is only going to help your plants to dance because they're going to have a happy super bed of microbial ecology to live in. It's not going to be a soil when you add tea to it religiously and do your high horsepower compost and your own castings and all the methods that this man espouses. It's going to be an LMC, a living microbial colony. So what do you want it to be? This dead inert substance that you've poured a bunch of salts, chemical salts into, that's more nutritious, or something that's alive, that's going to keep nourishing your plants for decades? I mean, look at you. You've had this thing for 5 years now. These things, they're just self-replicating systems. He tops them off. It's beautiful. Beautiful thing.
So Josh, would you say, like some people say that when you make compost tea, you could be culturing bad bacteria and spraying E. coli and crap on your plants? Like, is this a valid concern? Should people not do compost tea because they could be culturing, bad bacteria and they'll get sick from it?
Well, I mean, when you make compost, it's going to have bad bacteria. I mean, there's bad bacteria and good bacteria. When you make a proper compost tea recipe that's minimizing the potential for pathogens to begin with, i.e. like Boogie Brew, and entirely veganic, there's and there's nothing wrong with composted cow manure or buffalo manure or bat guanos. You experiment and make your own teas and use those products, but we really steer clear of animal-based products and go for limiting, because we have to think of liability and someone screwing up and making the tea itself anaerobic by not using enough oxygen, by cooking it at a high water temperature, or letting it go too long. I mean, there's endless ways to increase the bad bacteria in a compost tea, just like a yogurt can go wrong. So is there the potential for when a lady, my wife, she loves to put yogurt on her skin, Leah, if it's a fresh, healthy, living yogurt, it nourishes, turns it silky smooth and glistens. But what would she put a bad, whatever, whether it's E. coli or I don't know what kind of bad microbes can fester in yogurt? So of course, it's all about common sense, preparing it properly, they use it and infuse it before you lose it, attitude, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like people are just trying to scare people out of not making compost tea, which is kind of insane to me because, once again, I think it could only help whether you buy Josh's stuff or whether you make your own high-quality stuff by following his recipe and following his specific, ways to make it.
There is no one specific way. I do not sit here and hold the keys to compost tea wisdom. Far from it. I'm proud of our recipe. I'm proud of you all for supporting us and purchasing it. I try my hardest to make it as affordable as possible. I'm kind of insecure. That's why I talk so much. And I did the same thing. I want everyone to like me and the product too. So I almost made our tea, you could argue, too rich and uber of a tea recipe. It's not always necessary to use a tea as good as Boogie Brew all the time. You can do your own, homie. We encourage people to be cheap about it and do filler teas. You can do 2 applications a month with our product and then do some in between with a simple vermi tea or something.
All right, Josh. So some people say that maybe compost tea works because you're actually watering more and you're getting more water in the soil, and it's like with regular watering, your plants are going to do better. And when you're spraying out compost tea, you're watering an extra time that you maybe wouldn't have watered.
Who says that?
I don't know, man.
I've never heard that.
People say all kinds of stuff online, and I don't know if I would believe it.
That's totally bogus. One of the reasons I started using compost tea myself was to make it a more stoner-proof method of horticulture, because I would forget to water my plants.
He's a stoner. Trust me.
Yeah,
he messes all kind of stuff.
Yeah, with the amount of THC I ingest, I mean, I want my plants as strong and healthy as possible. So if Leah and I go, to the beach for the day and go ride our bikes and come home, oh honey, I'm too tired to water your. She just has a patio. We don't grow cannabis anymore, just for the record. But I'm just saying, with tea, they're only going to be stronger and resist. They're going to be able to go another day in a desert climate, in a less than hospitable environment. So that's absolute nonsense. Compost tea is totally proven. It builds such a healthy web of life in your soil. Your soil's more resilient. The beneficials always outweigh the bad bacteria when it's prepared and infused properly. And that creates an environment that the total web of life allows critical relationships to occur. You have this matrix, this living glue, instead of this stripped down, like I said, heroin addict is the analogy, just where everything just drains through. So if you're going to go use chemical fertilizers, be prepared to water a lot more. You want to use compost tea, be prepared to witness astoundingly tough. In fact, soil, the most amount of microbial reproduction in cycle is not when you feed tea. It's when you let the soil dry out between your watering applications. Whether you come back and feed chlorine-free water or come back and feed tea, that's when the microbial repopulating explosions take place.
So Josh, can compost tea create an imbalance in your soil?
I guess if you went totally batshit crazy with a super rich recipe like Boogie Brew, and you were just religious about pouring it full strength at unnecessary expense. I mean, at full strength, it's as little as 25, 30 cents a gallon, but why would you go pour that every day? I guess with a recipe like ours, there is that potential, but I've never heard of it, and no, far from it. It's always going to build a better, more resilient web of life system that's going to encourage much healthier critical relationships between everything, between the arthropods and the, all those blah, 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 the nematodes and everything that creates this web of life that we really know nothing about.
Yeah. We are
clueless. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Watch that video that I did why you should never buy a compost tea tank brewer, because what's his name? August, the guy with the CTS company, he says our dollars should be backed by soil. In 7 years of being into this and watching John's videos, now I've never heard a more magnificent, poignantly stated sentence than that. It gives me goosebumps. So our dollars need to be backed by this stuff. It's worth so much. The soil itself is worth gold, people. Get out there and make it. Use teas, use your own compost, do what it takes.
Josh, does the type of water, is that important when making compost tea? Like, should you use rainwater, tap water, filtered water?
Absolutely, of course. I mean, your typical water, we've, thanks to Dick Cheney and, defense, Homeland Security, the CWDA, which was part of Nixon's and then Carter's era, the Clean Water Drinking Act has been gutted in this country thanks to, we need fossil fuel independence, thanks to fracking, thanks to the depletion of the water table, the ppms are going up, the heavy metal loads are going up. It's harder and harder to get clean water. So I encourage you to filter your own water if you're on a municipally treated, because there's water and there's treated water. If you're on a treated water system, you need to scrub that treatment right back out of that water. Absolutely, especially when you're preparing the tea itself. Now, soil is very resilient, and it can actually do quite well with chlorinated water, but why, when for not even a tenth of a penny a gallon lifespan, you can get one of these affordable hose mount filters and use a clean water. Rainwater is even better for tea, for a pH balance and everything. The real big boys, the guys who use it for cannabis and invest hundreds of dollars in nice RO systems, they claim that they get a more pH stable and an even better quality tea. So, of course, quality water is always going to create a quality tea. Look at the beer makers. They spend a fortune on their water treatment systems to make a better beer brew. Of course you want to use it for a better compost tea brew.
Cool. Now, does compost tea grow giant crops?
Just go and watch on Boogie Broadcasting's own page, where we have a lot of John Kohler videos and some Enviro News videos. We also have people like Hammering Hank, right here from Marijuana Land, all right? Some good consciousness going on. We have people like Growing Up Garden. We now have Boogie Brew Canada, the Big Kahuna, and people posting the results of what they get, which stunned me. You know, I used to use it just for cannabis. I can show you letters. We're finally compiling a web page, Boogie Success, the best BS you'll ever get, direct from your own world-class tribe of Boogie ambassadors that are out there. And the stories are just amazing. I can count on one hand, in 5 years of selling it online, the number of people that have ever complained and said it doesn't work. And that was when they used it with a chemical-based fertilizing, with a hydroponic system. When they used it in tandem with nature, it just made everything fire. And of course, I mean, go look online. Does it grow giant crops? Go check it out for yourself. Go look at all the countless videos that are out there about just that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll attest. I mean, my stuff grows great, and I believe it's because of the Boogie Brew, as well as all the other practices I do. I mean, it's not just like compost tea is the answer to all the world's problems or all your gardening problems, but it is one of the many answers that I want you guys to incorporate into your garden to take your crops up to the next level. I mean, maybe some people out there are jealous of you growing stuff bigger than them, so they're like telling you not to do it. I have no idea.
You know, honestly, we've lagged on giving his garden more attention ourselves because we're so busy shipping product here in NorCal. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be straight with you, the few applications he's done here have been miraculous, but there's something way more powerful than compost tea that works for you here, John. It's called Vitamin L. It's the love he puts into doing what he does here. Let's be straight about things.
Yeah, and I want you guys to make love to your compost, Josh, and I want you guys to make love to your gardens.
Yeah, go make love to your own soil, but have mouth stick foot in it? I thought that was my middle name.
All right, Josh, so, and the other thing I want to talk about is, does compost tea grow in giant crops? My comments is that they can be helpful to do so, because some of the people at the Heirloom Expo that I attend every year, and they have a large pumpkin contest every year. Yeah. You know, as much as the seed variety does make a difference, you know, once again, it's all these components make a difference to make a big giant pumpkin. It's not just the seed variety, it's seed variety having good microbial action. I mean, I've grown huge beets, I've grown huge all kinds of different plants, but it's a combination of things. Yeah. But that being said, one of the most important combinations, besides just having the seeds and using chemical fertilizer, right? You could blow those guys out of the water just trying to do it like that if you have the horsepower in your soil, such as the different bacteria and fungi that really digest the nutrients and feed it to your plants. I mean, why do plants send down exudates into the root zone, you know, to attract bacteria? I mean, because they want them there. They want a lot because those help them take up more nutrients.
You're isolating your plants from that relationship when you use chemical fertilizers. You absolutely are isolating from that. You're stripping them of that biological privilege, that right that they were given by our own creator for the soil that they grow in. It is utterly evil. Chemical-based farming has to stop.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're just growing in compost, you're probably not going to grow one of those huge giant pumpkins without compost tea or mycorrhiza or some kind of other bacterial and or fungal inoculant.
Well, I mean, look at it from this analogy. My other passion was bicycle racing. I just followed the Tour de France. It's the summer season. And Chris Froome, the British guy, he's a wonder man. But his team is Team Sky, Rupert Murdoch's company. But they win by a system called marginal gain. So it's not just the watts. It's not just the 400 watts he's pushing up the Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France. You know, that is the horsepower. It's a system of marginal gains. It's the super carbon fiber bikes, the amount of rest and recuperation and using the right nutrients in their own diet. And imagine if they ate like you. They would never have needed to have doped, you know. There might be some doping going on in there, you know, but no matter what, it's a system of marginal gains, and using the tea is a marginal gain. Yep. If you use Boogie Brew, I will challenge any farmer, no matter how green thumb they are, and no matter how fin-horned out and biodynamic and creating their own uber everything. I mean, some of my best customers who are far more greenly thumbed than myself, I can testify, you know, like Kirk up in Grass Valley, I hope you're watching this, like, oh my God, these people are good farmers, you know? And yet, every time when they've used the Boogie Brew, that marginal gain, it just pushes it. You're going to absolutely do the side-by-side. Send us back we want your feedback. We've been too busy shipping our own product to compile, you know, testimonials and so on. We need more. We now want them. So send them to us, please.
Cool. So Josh, it's my opinion, and for you guys out there, it's my opinion that, you know, for almost all gardeners and farmers, compost tea is going to help. But maybe there's a class of farmers or gardeners that are way up at the top, and compost tea won't even help. And I'll give you guys a clue about this. Potentially, it's for no-till farming and constantly bringing back a lot of compost and doing other practices properly. And I'm not going to get into any more about that in this video because we got to keep moving.
Well, let me just say this, you know, like I remember when we sponsored the Bounty Farm, when we ended up tripling their yields, their hard clay pack soil in Petaluma, and one of the girls that ran it, who's actually a paid staff member, who was a graduate from the Santa Cruz Organic Farm School, where they teach you how to go and run a community farm, said using Boogie Brew was like cheating. They got to build that web of life within 3 months instead of 2 seasons. So if you want to go out there and cheat, I mean, I like doing things the easy way, the less backbreaking way. If you want to go in there, do it all like without tea. I'm going to prove we can do it without tea. Fine, go do it without tea.
It's just
but go in there and cheat
harder.
with it. It is a lot harder. You just, I mean, can you clean a bucket? Can you dry out an air stone between brews? Boom, you're done. Go out there and infuse it. It works.
Yeah, I mean, I want you guys to do things easy in life.
I
Don't
like
make
doing
things too hard, right?
Yeah.
Why make it hard and just use only compost? I mean, I think that's stupid, but that's what I think. Anyways, Josh, let's keep moving on. So, foliar feeding of compost tea, spraying compost tea on the leaves, the underside of the leaves of plants. Is it beneficial or harmful? Some people say you could be spreading, once again, that bad bacteria.
Hey, fear-mongering works. I mean,
Yeah,
after all, look at recently, look at the Republican convention, you know. Donald Trump's popular for a reason. Fear-mongering really works. Well, if you want to focus on the bad and say, geez, there's a few bad organisms that have made it into the tea, how about focusing on all the good? If you make a proper tea recipe and you go out there and spray it on leaf surfaces, mold spores that are naturally there in the environment, especially in Sonoma County from our chemically based, you know, monocultural grape farming system. That's when it all went crazy in the 90s. It was with the powdery mold spores. You go in there and you spray with something that's so populated with beneficial microbes that you're going to totally outpopulate the bad guys. It's the same with your gut. You go putting fresh yogurt in there, you're going to repopulate it with all the good stuff.
Mix some fresh sauerkraut,
yeah,
not yogurt.
Absolutely. And you know what? Add some of that pure
fermented
protein.
Vegetables.
I got to do a plug for the PP. You know, if you stranded me on a desert island and allow me one product only, it wouldn't even be the BB, it would be the PP. Add some of that protein power, the aminos, to that cocktail of microbes. I mean, go out there and do a foliar campaign with that twice a month. It's ridiculous. It's not even legal how well you will do. Absolutely does tea work, foliar. Is it sketchy? Should I not spray it? Geez, is there some bad stuff in it? Hell no. Go out there and use it. Look at all the results on YouTube. Again, success leaves clues. Follow those clues.
Yeah. I mean, that's well said, Josh. So, can compost tea be used in container gardening, or is it only for like big gardens like I got, or big farms?
I mean, container gardening is such a restricted gardening method that it almost mandates the addition of extra things that are the high octane things like compost tea. I mean, clearly container gardens love compost tea. The only thing I would worry about with container gardens is adding too much things like C90, too much natural fertilizers can still accumulate. And again, getting in there with the tea, it's going to help digest. It's going to help break down. If you're worried that your container farm, your super, you know, your $50 Geopot, you know, 45-gallon special filled with all these goodies, if you're worried that, geez, things are out of balance here, measure the runoff. If the runoff, use a cheap ppm pen, or get a good one, or at least get a $30 one, you know, and measure the runoff. And if the runoff's coming out above 1100, then you don't want to feed it anything. And if it's above 2000, then it's definitely out of balance. And you can go in there with diluted teas, and that will help fix it better than just water. Absolutely. And if it's coming out below 1100, you can safely feed it up to 900 parts per million of a combination of a strong tea and some top dressings that you've scratched in, and always measure the runoff. All these hydro growers obsess about what's in their reservoir. Is it at 2200 or 2500? Forget about what's in your reservoir. Measure the soil, measure the runoff from your soil. Communicate with your plants. Ask your soil, do you want me to feed you? Use one of these intelligently priced modern miracle meters, the electrical conductivity meter, to tell you what's going on. And then you can go in there and make an intelligent decision about, you know, adding a modestly priced top dressing, scratch it in, and then activate it with your own compost tea, or better yet, with mine, with Boogie Brew. I guarantee it, your plants will dance. Keep it simple.
All right, Josh, so I want to talk more about the compost tea. In this video, we're talking about actively aerated compost tea, AACT, and not any other kind, because there's, you know, all kinds of compost teas that people like put shit in a bucket with water. I do not recommend that kind of compost tea at all. That's the kind you can get in trouble with. So with actively aerated compost tea, AACT. Could be different qualities. So like, why would somebody want to buy Boogie Brew instead of just take their compost, some molasses, and a cheap bubbler they got from a fish tank and bubble it on up?
Well, because I made a pretty bitching recipe. But I encourage them, as I said earlier in the conversation, to do both. Money's like manure. Spread it around. You know, if you can buy some of our super high octane, super high grade veganic super tea, go for it. If you want to experiment, make your own, there's a million videos out there. And go read our stuff. We've got a great article, Harnessing the Benefits of Compost Tea in Your Garden. It's a fabulous article, edited from a magazine years ago. We make no mention of Boogie Brew in it. It's just about intelligently using teas as part of your total gardening system.
Awesome, Josh. Yeah, and if you want to make videos about how compost tea doesn't work, get some Boogie Brew. And you're going to have to totally screw it up to make it not work, because there's so many people that shows it works. I mean, we'll put a link down below to Josh's channel where he has, people sharing this. So, Josh, do you think it's fair for somebody to say, like, to make basically, they make compost tea, they test it, they take it to a lab, and then they say, hey, it doesn't work because I did it and it didn't work. I mean,
what sort of lab? What sort of lab? Well, a lab that's testing for NPK, like for quote nutritional value.
Right. I mean, I think that you need to take to a food soil web lab to really kind of show what's happening, because besides just like the NPK values or fertilizer values in the compost tea, that's not really why we do compost tea.
No, you want to measure the life. You want to measure the life that's in your tea, and no NPK test, no fertilizer industry testing company is going to give you. They don't have a clue. To them, this is all double Dutch. All right, these people they've been almost like fascistically trained by a greater empire, by a greater network of, it's a very evil industry. The ag industry is filled with scum, and that's why we're so honored to sell a product to good people like you who are the exact opposite, and that's why we're so blessed and lucky, and we slave ourselves. We're not getting rich from doing this. Anyone that wants to try my job for a week, have at it. Even without the weed consumption, All right, I'm telling you. And so I talk too much, I never talk poop. Our product works. You want to measure the life potential that's in your tea. Elaine Ingham group is great for a very basic look at what's going on for fungal counts, for microbial counts. But you need to go to a company called Microbial Matrix, run by a woman called Lynn Rogers, and she's not cheap, but she speaks species in her sleep. She can take a perfunctory look at an electron microscope slide and start telling you what's going on with your tea. It's an amazing experience when I've chatted with her in years gone by when we initially used to test our tea. Our latest recipes we haven't even bothered to test because we keep improving them. We now have a new Double HBB, the Heavy Harvest Boogie Brew, more flower focused formula than ever. It may sound like I'm just hogwashing testing. I'm not at all, but they are very expensive and we run a tight ship. We do have some new data about the castings. I'm really curious how the OGS are going to do back here, because they got back from Lynn Rogers record fungal counts and record chitinase counts, stuff I already knew, because when I went there and saw the place, first of all, it's like a biological humidor, a vermicultural excellence just going in there, and the guy spends honest dollars feeding his worms. I mean, he's still losing money on his worm operation, right? That's how we met him. We brought him CBD minerals, the California basalt deposit, and then we advised him, and add the frass and so on, improve, so the top deck became like Boogie's deck of OGS castings. And sure enough, the product, which was already by far for a commercial casting, I have yet to find one better. And I go all the way to SoCal with my flatbed once a month just to get the product. That's how important. Even though we're talking only 20%, 18% net of Boogie Brew's recipe, a good casting is 80% of the biological horsepower, the firepower of a compost tea. So if you people out there who are making your own castings, buying these sensible vermi farms, these kits or whatever, hats off to you. If you want to use Boogie Brew, add that. If you have your own castings, add that to it. It's just like homemade yogurt, homemade ice cream, sorry. But homemade juices are better than store-bought juices even. But for a commercial casting, those OGS, with the fungal counts and everything, and I know the tea under a microscope blows people tell me all the time, dude, I have a $10,000 electron microscope, I looked at your tea, it was insane, but I don't care about that stuff. Success leaves clues. I want to see how the stuff actually works.
Yeah,
it does work exceptionally well.
Cool, Josh. So yeah, my comments are simply this. Number one, if you're not using worm castings in your compost tea, you're an idiot. I'll say that again. Worm castings are one of the essential parts, and if you're just using compost and all this crap, you're stupid. I'm sorry. I'm saying that. I apologize for calling you guys stupid. Don't do it. That's what I want you guys to do. Number 2.
Worms excrete the most magnificent humus right out of their guts. Look
Out
at
of
my
their ass.
Yeah, my
Wait,
wood
they got an ass?
my wood chip compost that I go to great lengths to cure and age and mature for 3+ years and spray it down with these they're like a barley malt yeast extract from the brewery to improve. Worms in one day will produce a finer humus than an aged, wood chip product. So he's wrong. You're not an idiot if you're doing a tea without worm castings in it. Strictly vegan, it wouldn't even have the worm castings in it. But of course, a good casting in a even nominally recipe tea is just gonna make it kick ass. Of course, it's gonna improve it tenfold, absolutely, and for pennies per gallon.
And so here's the thing too, like if you guys get food soil web testing on your compost tea results and it's not coming out good, what's that telling you? That's telling you you're doing a shitty job, man. And you need to up that game. You need to put some other things in there, get some other sources of compost. Josh has sourced, and I've been around with him to source some of the highest quality stuff that he puts in his tea, and that's why I use it, so I don't have to.
Coming up in a future episode, we're going to take John to some of our deep into some of our suppliers' worlds, and really show it. It's pretty fun industry on that level.
Cool, Josh. So another thing, I know. What percentage of Boogie Brew customers are repeat customers for you guys? Because that'll tell you if the stuff works or not. Because why would people buy the stuff and keep coming back if it doesn't work?
You mean what percentage of initial customers? That's a weird. Wait a minute. So initial customers, how can they be repeat buyers? Well, they're my initial ones.
After they buy it once,
after they buy it once,
come back to you and buy more tea, not any of your other products.
Quite a few. I would say, being really honest, lie detector test honest, putting me on the spot honest, 60 to 70%. And
that's pretty high.
I would say the only reason there's not more is because we encourage plug and play and making your own and open source, and also because we've never done a bulk tea special on your GYG page with you, But I mean, yeah, a huge percentage, and everybody that is a repeat customer keeps on repeating 100% and buying it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep using this stuff. I wouldn't use it if it didn't work.
It does work. That's why I can't keep up with the demand. We all know it works.
So, Josh, is there instances where your compost tea won't work for somebody?
Well, there was someone recently that put in a request saying this didn't work with my hydro system and I want a refund. Now, we have a purchase policy on our website. Unfortunately, they were past the 10-day, thing. We have to be, that's where my wife, the real boogie boss, comes in and says, And this was obviously a chemical-based system where probably things were already very, if you want to use the word high octane, with chemical amounts, and the tea, like I said, we're not what we eat, we're what we absorb. So the tea greatly increases the metabolic efficiency in the root zone in the rhizosphere. And so her plants, I think it was a lady, that it said, it didn't work in my hydro system, my plants were happy. Very, very likely was already getting overdosed, and the absorption of the tea, making the plant more absorptive or more efficient at absorbing other nutrients, other chemical nutrients, created a system where that threshold was then, too high for the plants to remain healthy. So in an extreme situation where you have a hydro grower and they're going for, this consciousness or lack of consciousness of high parts per million chemical fertilizers, that's the only place I could see Boogie Brew and any compost tea in general not working. Other than that, you have to have an extremely black thumb for tea not to work for you.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage you guys to do soil gardening. Not that I don't say hydroponics bad, because once again, I want to get you guys out of this dichotomy: good, bad, right, wrong. Except maybe chemical farming, not good.
Soil, not oil. Soil, not oil. Let me get that real straight. They recently have published, I heard about this from some of my own customers, more than one person, so I know it's true. They've published research showing that we get a serotonin increase in our brains from dirt, from soil getting into our fingernails. And I totally believe it, because even though I'm a lazy stoner, I'm a busy, stressed out entrepreneur that doesn't get to come over here and help John more, every time I do, I feel great. And you don't get that buzz working around hydroponics or even aquaponics. It's fun, it's a scientific experiment, but only do you get that connection. and truly, our hands were built to pluck, you know, like fresh figs from your tree and dig around in the dirt. And now science has proven it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm high on life. I'm high on my soil. That's why I got dirt on my fingernails. I don't get high off cannabis, and I don't encourage you guys to do that. But if you want to, that's up to you. But I don't do that stuff because people in my videos, Josh, lately have been, John, you're so stoned in that video. I never get stoned, Josh.
Okay,
do I get stoned?
No.
I have some access to some of the best stuff anywhere, and I don't give a shit.
He has a home right here in the heart of the 707 grow code. There are grow houses right here in the hood. John, there's so much weed in Sonoma County, and John Kohler is the cleanest, straightest, non-imbibing, you know, loves cannabis leaf juice for its health effects for his body. Absolutely does not. He detests what most people love about cannabis. Let's face it. 95% of cannabis is consumed deliberately for its side effects, which are healthy. There's nothing unhealthy about them. I totally believe that, okay? Maybe being naturally ADD already, it just compounds that. But the whole damn garden industry is ADD, especially at this time of year. So it doesn't matter, you know, as long as people accept it. It's this whole weird... Why should you be crucified if you were a stoner? Why should it matter if you did enjoy
that's
smoking?
Exactly it. People are
it's
so
your
judgmental.
message that you're getting out there.
I want people to get the health benefits from the THC,
hold on,
not the high benefits. But if you guys want to get the high, that's up to you. It's just
I don't care whether
do.
you like getting high or whether you're strictly against it. Keep watching John Kohler, high or not, because he's the YouTube university right here, okay? More powerful than all these ag schools funded by Monsanto's mighty mad dollars put together. We all know this.
Well, thanks, Josh. But hey, we gotta start wrapping up this video here real quick, and we got way off topic.
Of course,
you smoking cannabis or not? We're talking about compost tea, Josh. We got a couple minutes left on the battery. So here's the thing I want to do, Josh. I mean, I always have a special for you guys out there, and this is a special dedicated to compost tea haters. And this is the compost tea hater box
that I got
Josh to put together for
the
you
hater
guys.
box. The hater box. I love it. That's
those of you guys that are haters or never tried it or don't believe in it. We got a good deal for you guys, so you guys could get started. The base price of this system is $60, and it's going to include Josh's all-new Heavy Harvest Boogie Brew Compost Tea.
Yeah, we upped the brewer's yeast a bit, you know. It's definitely a more flower-focused tea than ever. It's very, very similar to the existing formula, but that much, we believe, marginal gains improvement. The new 8 double HBB.
Cool, so you're going to get the
3 pounds of
the Heavy Harvest
our best tea
Boogie Brew tea. You're going to get a good quality air pump, not one that's like something that's not going to put out enough air. This is going to put up 7.8 liters per minute.
That'll do 2 gallons. Now you can cheat and make your tea at double to triple strength and still get that infusion, but keep in mind you want 1 liter of air for every liter of tea. So this is a budget price kit we're talking about here. But yes, this is a good pump. Hydrofarm, God bless you. You're a great vendor, and we love your Active Aqua series of pumps.
Yeah, and then you're going to get 2 air stones.
Well, yeah, because this pump drives 2 stones.
And then also the tubing. Yeah. And then you're going to need to supply your own bucket. You're also going to get something I recommend you guys, the trace minerals. You're going to get a little packet of C90.
Go easy on the C90.
1 teaspoon
per gallon,
in 1 gallon of water once a month in your garden. That's it. Don't sprinkle this in your soil.
Less is more.
You can sprinkle this on your food. I actually don't even recommend that either. Cause it's, but anyway, that's another topic. And then the other thing, so that's at the $59.99 price. And then we got the special bonus for you guys is the Boogie Brew basic filter for a $20 upcharge. You guys can get a filter, so you want to make sure you make your compost tea with filtered water or some clean water. And then if you get the extra filter, this filter or even the upgraded filter, the Boogie Brew Plus filter, you're also going to get a $20 value. So this is the special bonus I got Josh to do. The foundation, this is a mycorrhiza. This is very important to grow high quality plants. This is some really specific fungi that has been shown to increase growth on the plants.
That's your top dominator species. JK actually helped me source this product a couple of years ago.
And this is water soluble. This is
a very expensive. It's a high grade water soluble one.
Yeah.
It's the highest propagule count per dry weight gram of the top 4 dominator species. The Glomus introdices, the what are they all? I can't even pronounce them. The Mausoleum, whatever. The blah blah. The top 4 dominator species. The Endo. Okay, this is a great product. And we spend a lot. We buy it in big buckets, and it costs a fortune. So Money's like manure. We're spreading it around thinly, more thinly than ever, for it to yield for us later. With your viewers, with the GYGers out there, you're more important than us put together. You really are. We believe in you, the movement, and I'm just happy to be a commercial conduit to you. I'm also going to throw in, just for this package special, I'm going to throw in a very special product which has been soaked in a unique activating compound, and let's talk about that real quick. All right, thanks for waiting. We're also going to throw in a really special product in this kit, brand new, our Super Char by Organic Solution. OGS don't just make what I believe to be the world's best worm castings with the highest fungal blah 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 microbial counts and so on, but they also make a unique char that is sprayed down with a worm juice. They can juice up to 2,000 gallons a day from their biological humidor home of Vermi Excellence, a liquid worm juice. They call it ambrosia. You know I don't believe in selling liquid products, but I sure as hell believe in the biochar that has been soaked in this product. And I'm going to give you approximately 3 pounds of it. We still got to go over it with the wife, exactly what we can fit in this box. But you got to try this stuff. This is the supreme governator. Think of this as the chip on your soil's engine. The biochar, especially an activated, triple wash, pH balance, proper particle size, and totally inoculated with this ambrosia. It's an unbelievable product. It's the biochar we're now using in our open source compost tea recipe. I strongly urge you to check this product out and read about how it's made. We'll have more info on this shortly on our website, on boogiebrew.net. And you can also go to organicsolution.com and check out these products, because they are first class, baby. This stuff is some good stuff.
All right, Josh. Yeah, I gotta check that one out myself. I haven't even used that yet. It's the
incredible
first time I'm hearing about it.
There's char and there's super char, and this stuff is phenomenal.
I'll try it, Josh, and let everybody know what I think about it. But anyways, that comes included in this kit too, and of course this is the basic kit. If you want to get the upgraded kit, you know, it's about around $100 or over $100 with the filter, and that's what I would recommend you guys get if you really want to go for it. This is the basic kit for the haters that don't believe it, because we want you guys to try it and make videos with your results. That's cool. We want to see what happens, and much like almost all of Josh's customers, you will get beneficial results. We got to cut this video off, Josh, because the battery's out, but really quick, you want to go to boogiebrew.net/GYG. I'll put a link down below to get the special deal. Any last words real quick, Josh?
Yeah, we'll also give you a haters coupon code, all right? So the coupon code is HATERST, and you're going to get free 4-ounce foundation if you go for one of our bigger, even better value, true IBM business model tea brewing kit specials, okay?
Awesome.
And we're starting a buyers club for you, all right? And we're going to be
donating. That's another video, man.
That's a whole nother. The BBC's coming.
We got to get going.
For those bulk tea heads out there that want to be able to get the refill for cheaper than ever, we're working on it. Trust me, we're working with you.
So, anyways, we got to go. So if you guys like this video with Josh, please give a thumbs up. Let me know if you get a lot of thumbs up. I'll come back and make another video with Josh in the future. I definitely had fun hanging out with Josh today and sharing his information about compost tea and my opinions on compost tea. I believe it works, and I want you guys to try it. If you guys haven't, I don't want you guys to just poo-poo. It's very easy to write a comment. Compost tea doesn't work. It's much harder to, you know, buy it, make it, brew it, and spread it on yourself, and then see the results and see that it works, and know that you're just dumb for not trying it in the first place. So anyways, go to boogiebrew.net/GYG, order this kit. I want you guys to try it. Respond down below with response videos, and I'll be checking some of those guys out with your guys' results. Once again, we got to get running here. So the thing I want you guys to do is actually click that subscribe button right below to be notified new and upcoming episodes I have coming out about every 3 to 4 days. And be sure to check my past episodes. I have plenty of videos with this guy here, Josh, and all kinds of information that we share with you guys. And people like our videos for some reason when we get together and do one of these videos. So thanks, Josh.
Yeah, I miss doing these videos with you, John. So
all right,
it's good to be here.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and where I am in the world today is Miami, Florida area, and we're here at the Fairchild Tropical Botanical Gardens.